What's up traders, welcome to Failure to Displace. In this video we're going to do a quick walkthrough of the London Macro number 1 from EURUSD this morning. I took 1.2R, so I closed out in full after seeing bullish SMT having swept these relative equal lows. However, we can see that potentially we've got a lovely Judas swing trade playing out here, catching the high of the day to run lower. So I'm not part of this action here, but currently it's running at almost 3.4, 3.5R. So nice momentum into the session. Let's jump into the main analysis now and see how this setup presented itself. Before we jump into the main chart, let's just review the trading plan this morning. So we are trading the London macros. So the two London macros are 2:33 to 3 AM and 4:03 to 4:30 AM, looking at the euro or the pound. Essentially inside the macro we are looking for SMT and engulfing candles. You will see in the description below that I've left a link to this trading plan along with this cheat sheet, so you can potentially spot SMT a little bit easier. Checklist for the trade entries will be a higher time frame point of interest. 15-minute or 1 hour is perfect. 1 minute liquidity sweep, creating SMT with the Dixie. We're looking for an opposing fair value gap failure, so this will create a potential IFVG. The IFVG is going to be confirmed when we get an engulfing candle close. The entry is going to be on the engulfing candle close. Stop loss is going to be at the swing high or the swing low. Take profit is going to be fixed at 1 to 2 RR. We will be moving the stop loss to break even after we've taken a low hanging fruit draw on liquidity. And then we're going to be monitoring swing highs and swing lows whilst we're in the trade, looking for potential SMT that indicates we may need to collapse the trade earlier. This is a key thing that played out this morning, which is why I am creating this video, just to highlight this in action. Do be sure to download this trading plan if you're interested in trading this, and also I would highly recommend checking out FX Replay to go and do your own backtesting on this. There's a link in the description along with a code for 15% off FX Replay, so you can go and get your own data on this strategy. Right, let's jump into the charts and see how this played out. So this is going to be quite a quick walkthrough of the trade that I took this morning in Macro 1. This ended up being a 1.2R trade for me because I closed out after taking these lows. Price did retrace back into my entry and has since moved to hit the 2R. However, I would have been stopped out break even because after taking these lows, I would have moved my stop to break even. So it was a good decision to close at this point. However, the analysis was correct with a bearish bias for the day. Let's jump into the higher time frames now and understand how I ended up with this setup. So first of all, the daily is quite difficult. At the moment, we have an inversion fair value gap here. We're inside a larger bullish fair value gap. We then have this bearish fair value gap, which could be potentially acting as support now. We've traded through and closed above this inversion fair value gap. So we've got the euro on the left here and the Dixie on the right. This could be acting as support. We've closed exactly at 50%. But there's no clear direction. The Dixie, when we're comparing it, is just awful price action. So it's just consolidating inside this bullish fair value gap. So it's really giving us no reference on the daily time frame of where price is likely to be heading. So what I've had to do is drop onto the 1 hour time frame and look more locally to get my bias. Basically just going on the hourly market structure, we are in bearish market structure. So we can see that we put in a high, we've then broken this low here yesterday with displacement coming lower, lower high, and then I'm expecting a lower low. So I'm expecting a continuation of this very large bearish move that we created over the London session yesterday. We are coming into the London session this morning, swept the Asia high into a fair value gap. So I was anticipating this as being a Judas swing. So coming into macro number 1, you can see that we'd swept the high of Asia. We'd swept the New York PM session macro high as well. I was expecting this to be a Judas swing for lower prices. So I was looking for a reason to get short. The basis for my entry go on Dixie, where have you gone? Was essentially, now I went in only at quarter risk on this, so it was a very low risk trade because I didn't see clear displacement. Obviously we had the large displacement down, so I was bearish from London, and then we did have this nice move down at the open of the London session this morning, So bearish displacement, breaking structure, again leaving us what essentially is a unicorn entry. At this point, as the macro opened, we pulled back into this inefficiency. We did have this large bullish candle, so we did have a large bullish displacement candle, but the bearish move was larger in momentum, in my opinion. What I would have liked to have seen, we had this inversion fair value gap here. So this is the bullish fair value gap that was created. I would have liked to have seen this displacement being one large candle. So if we had closed through this bearish fair value, this inversion fair value gap with one candle, I would have gone in at full margin. Because we closed through the fair value gap, we pulled back and this bullish candle respected the inversion fair value gap. So you can see here, my entry was actually on the close of this bullish candle, but I only went in at quarter risk. I wasn't 100% confident that this was displacement. So I went in at low risk. I was going to ladder in and then I decided not to. We took out relative equal lows here, the engineered liquidity that we've had. And so this bullish momentum here with engineered liquidity pulled up into this breaker block area. We didn't get displacement down, but I was confident that we were going to run these lows. So as we rejected from the inversion fair value gap on this bullish candle, I pulled the trigger, took an entry at market. I pulled my stop to break even as soon as we took this low. And I had my eyes on these relative equal lows here as another potential draw on liquidity. To confirm the entry, we had SMT here. So you can see Euro is putting in lower highs while the Dixie put in a lower low. So this was very minor, again, only over a couple of candles, but we did have SMT on the Dixie versus the Euro and a strong draw on liquidity at this point. Once we took this liquidity, however, we began displacing higher on the Dixie and we didn't have the same follow through on the Euro. And as we took this swing low here, you can see that the Dixie was continuing higher. So we were putting in higher highs at this point on the Dixie and we were failing to break these lows on the Euro. So because we lost momentum after swinging this low, I decided to collapse the trade because we had bullish SMT at this point. And I wasn't confident the price would continue down to the 2R. So I collapsed the trade there. Price did come back into the breaker block area again for a second test. Silver bullet hour, and now we have had our displacement lower, which would have netted the 2R. So the bearish bias based on the 1 hour does seem to be playing out. My overall target was taking out Asia low in this trade. Again, going on the Judas swing theory, once we take the high of the range, we expect the low of the range to get taken. This looks like now coming into macro 2, Asia low is going to be a good target. I've had my trade for the day, so I'm not partaking in macro 2 now. We've just swept that low, price is displacing lower. So I was quite happy with the trade management. Potentially I could have closed a percentage of the trade off as we'd come back into the break-even area and then leave the rest to see if it would play out, because this again could be the high of the day here. Judas swing could have caught the high of the day. This could just run, continuing that bearish momentum, taking out yesterday's low at the very least for a 3.4. But that was the analysis. That was why I closed and collapsed the trade early. And the main takeaway from this is not having a clear daily bias, having to drop to the hourly bias, and then again not having a clear displacement through that inversion fair value gap, which resulted in me taking a lower risk than I usually would, seeing bullish SMT, again collapsing the trade in full, just bagging the 1.2R at this point. I hope you found that useful. If you did, please leave the video a thumbs up. If you've got any questions or feedback, leave them down in the comment section below. And likewise, if you're enjoying these kind of videos and want to learn more about the strategies that I'm employing every single day on the charts, then please do consider subscribing. It'd be great to have you on board. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again in the next video.